Hey there, everybody. Robert Taylor here with Wonderscape Creations. Continuing on with a new bit of mini series that will be working into Narrative Pro. But the way we're going to do this is so that anyone who isn't part of Narrative Pro can still utilize this system. And let me show you what this system is real quick, and then we will walk through what we are going to do. So currently, if I activate the sense, we have this magical thing happening here. Um, by the end of it, you'll be able to do all this except the border. That's specific for my game. It's what I need for my game. Um, but you will have everything else. The transitioning from all the color to this color so that you can better sense things. This overlay material, and as you can see, the ability to see things on the other side, with the added feature of, as I get further away, it starts to disappear. Yeah, that is what we are going to be working on. So how we are going to do that is very simple. First, we're going to create the post-process effect because that is a requirement for this type of ability, a sense Witcher sense type ability. Once we have that working exactly how we want, we will then create the overlay ability. The overlay material. And once we've got the overlay material done, we will get it working, transitioning back and forth. And then finally, once that is all said and done, we will encapsulate it into a gameplay ability for all of us that use Narrative Pro or any other type of system that uses the gameplay ability system. That way, if you need something to trigger or something to only happen, or you don't want this to happen, say during combat or a cutscene or something, who knows, it can wait for a gameplay tag, and if a gameplay tag happens, then it ends the sense. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So the first thing to understand is this is going to take a few episodes, because in order to get the level of complexity with the post-process effect that we have, I will change over to my example one so that you guys better know what you are going to have. Let me first mute my monitor, my system here. That way you don't have to hear the beautiful wind of ultra dynamic sky. So there's a lot that's going on here in this. By the end of it, you'll have this. You'll be able to change the color of the fade, whatever. The first thing we have going on here is my character is not a part of it. The other thing that's going on is the sky is not part of it. Additionally, I'm not seeing that effect through my character. As well, the we are seeing it through the wall. You then also have the fading effect, how it fades sooner through the wall than it does from the actual view of the player. So there's a lot there. This is everything, but don't worry, I'm not going to just say now do this, now do this. We're going to walk through it together because this is very complex, and there's going to be a lot of new things that are learned in this for a lot of you people, and that's okay. Additionally, to make this easier, because this one's going to be completely in editor, or you know what I mean. We're not going to be looking at the viewport too much. I'm going to increase this by 25% so that it's easier for you guys to see everything that I'm doing. Because I know a lot of you hate my widescreen monitor. So the first thing we want to do is create a material. and name it whatever you want. A lot of people do PP instead of M for post process. Um, so for this one, that's what I'll do. Then sense. And we're going to open her up. Oops. I don't want the whole thing. I need my notes. Let's bring this over here. So the very first thing we need to do is set up the main node exactly how it needs to be set up. So instead of being surface, we need to change this to post-process. And you'll notice we only have access to the emissive. And that is perfectly fine. Once we are done there, I'm just making sure there's nothing else. Yes. We want to come over down here and bring this to your attention. Blendable location. Now you can do this in many different ways. And for me, how I have mine is scene color after DOF. Between translucency distortion and DOF. Personally, I don't know what DOF means, but that's where I have mine. Feel free to play around with these to get the colors and the effects that you want. But I would recommend following exactly for now so that we can make sure that everything works as it should. Then you can play with it. Now, another thing that we are going to quickly go over is a node that many of you probably don't know exists, or you do know and you haven't messed with it. It's called scene texture. Now, scene texture has a lot of texture IDs that you can go through, and I would recommend going through and having some fun with it. But for now, we are just going to go to post process input 0. Now, before I do that, I want you guys to do a little bit of learning while we're doing it. I'm going to create a material instance of this, and I'm going to put it in here. Save everything here. And you'll notice that we now have color. Now, for the life of me, I couldn't tell you why this didn't change to no color. It shouldn't have. I mean, it should have turned to no color, but it didn't. The next thing we need to make sure that we have is a custom depth node. And that comes from the exact same place. Copy and paste. Custom depth. Now then, in order to really see this, we have to either multiply it or divide it by a crazy number. If we're dividing it, if we're multiplying it, then we have to multiply it by like 0.00007, something like that. And if we multiply it, it has to be divide it, it has to be a super large number, which is exactly how I chose to do it. That way I could calculate the math for sensing the distance and keep it at roughly meters. So we're going to go ahead and create this little bit real quick so that you can see how this works. Because if I just plug custom depth in and I hit apply, everything's white. And that's as expected. That's supposed to happen. So let's go ahead and do this here. Sorry, I froze because there's something else that we need to make sure that we do before you will actually see much with this, and we will do that in a minute because we haven't gotten to the stencils yet. But anyways, let's do this. Divide. Saturate. And because I'm dividing, and I want to make sure it's never, because you can't divide by 0. 0.0001. That way, I've always got a number that it's dividing by. Then I'm going to hold down the M for multiply. I'm going to search for a subtract node. And in the multiply of the B, I'm going to put 100. That way we go from centimeters to meters. And then we will, that's right. Because it's that's the distance for the cents. For now, we will put a distance of, hold down the number 1 and then click, or you can search for scalar. Put it at 100. So at 100 meters, we hit apply. Look at that. So for 100 meters, we'll be able to see it. It looks like no matter what, currently we can, no matter what, we can see it, which is fine. At the very least, we have it working. Now, if you don't see it, that's fine. We're going to get that working right now before we do anything else. We go into the project settings. And then we need to go into the render section of the engine. Find it here. Rendering. And then if we scroll on down, we should see right here. Custom depth stencil pass. We need to make sure that it is enabled with stencil. By doing that, everything from here on out will work as it should. You may have to restart your engine. There have been reports that you do and reports that you don't have to do those things, but we're just going to play it safe and say restart it. Now, before we continue on here, we need to create ourselves a material collection. Now, I'm not going to recreate one because I'm just going to use the one that I have. But honestly, just right click, go to materials, material parameter collection. That's what you want. Now, I'm going to warn you, anything more than one material parameter collection within your material will cause a great deal of stress on the system. One, there's no issue if it's just one. Once you get to two, there's a high potential of a crash. 3 or more, it will crash your system. I don't understand the code for it. All I do know is that it allows us to, at runtime, make modifications to the material without having to make a dynamic material instance. Now, before you go doing this with everything, instead of making it a dynamic material instance where you need one, anything that this is attached to will change globally, not just the one thing you're interacting with. So you need to make sure you understand that. Dynamic material instances is per instance situation. These collections are global changes. So go ahead and make one of those and open it up. And we'll get to all that later. The first thing we want to make is the sense distance. I have mine set to 50. It's a scalar parameter, and you'll place that in there. Now, once you've done that, hit save and jump back into your post process. Right click. Trying to remember what it's called. Parameter. There you go. Collection parameter. I was doing it backwards. If you already had yours selected, you'll see that it automatically populates for you. Otherwise, go ahead and find it. And you'll want to get the sense distance. Just plug that in here. Apply and save. I won't be showing it off because we already know what it does. The next one we're going to we will be playing with. Oh, that might have been the monochrome right there. Let's hit saturate. Apply here. All right. For now, we don't need that subtract. That might be where the problem is. Well, anyways, I know it works because I've been doing it. So, 1 minus. There is a 1 minus node at the end of this. This is one of our masks that we're going to need, so we're going to be done with this once we have it taken care of. Apply and save. Where is my test? Ah, there we are. There we go. And see how it disappeared? Perfect. Now that we have this mask done, we remove the subtract for now because we don't need it for the time being. Oh, wait. Yes, we do. We're going to do that. We will do that now. Because in theory, you guys, your sense is going to not be as strong through walls. If you want to keep it that way, you can. I don't. I'm going to divide it by 2. And I'm doing that because the sense distance I have in the overlay material as well. So anything that is 50 meters or less from me and I can see it, it'll glow it up. If I can't see it and it's through a wall, it'll be 25 meters or less. So that's just how that works. Now that we can detach this for the moment, move that down here. And the next one is a scene depth. Let's copy and paste it. Scene depth here. We'll pop that in there. And again, everything's white. That's normal. That's to be expected. As you can see, that the coloring will change based on where we're looking. It's because it is showing us the depth of everything. Pretty cool. And is very, very important. And is part of another mask that we will be needing in a moment. Let's copy this custom depth because that is also part of this mask. Subtract from there and saturate. We apply and save. You'll see everything is a bit darker. And you'll also see that the stone is black. But if I go behind a wall, I can no longer see it. So, that's how that works. Like I said, that's another mask we will be needing. Perfect. Now then, let's get into some very crazy stuff. Now that you've seen that, there's actually... Don't know how this will show actually in the renderer, but we're going to take a look at it. And that's the... Where is it? I have one somewhere. At least I thought I did. Yeah, there it is. Custom stencil. So, copy this. We're going to see what happens, because this I don't know. Custom stencil. Let's plug it in. Hit apply. Alright, so anything that is a stencil will show up. If I hit play, I'm lit up too. And that's because my character is a stencil. And that's because that's necessary to make sure that you don't show up in some of the post-process effects. Perfect. Now that we know all of the scene textures that we will be utilizing, I'm going to take not a picture. I'm going to copy these so that I have them all here near the front. That way, as I need them, we can keep going. So, not very exciting, I understand. We are going to start with the post-process, though. We're going to make things look different colors. So obviously, if I plug this in, as we started out, everything is normal. First thing we want to do is desaturate. That way, if you don't want any color influencing um, your effect, it won't. Hold down S and left click, and it'll bring up a parameter, a scalar parameter for us. Desaturate. I'm going to keep it at 0 for the moment. And then hold down the M key and left click to get a multiply. Hold down the V key, V is in Victor, and left click, and you'll get a vector parameter. And we're going to call this we'll call it color tint. And we will do this. Hit OK. Plug that in there. And you'll see no changes at the moment. And that is intentional. Now then, if we come back over here, where are you? Right there. I believe I chose the instance. Yep. Let's go ahead and open it. Now then, first we'll just tint everything. So I can go like this, and as you can see, changing the color, but generally keeping things fairly uniform. Now, let's say that you want it completely saturated. Oh, yeah, don't go that far. We need to lock that. We will in a minute. We go to 1. Everything is now black and white. And we open this back up. It's keeping everything 100% uniform instead of just generally so. All right. Let's put this back to 0. Now, something that's important to remember in materials, we can definitely come here to desaturate and make the slide minimum 1 and the max 1. And the problem is, if you type in here, you type 20, it'll then work. Because this doesn't lock it down the same way that blueprints do. There's one more thing we need to do. You can either get a clamp node or saturate node. And we'll go with the clamp. They're fairly the same, but I want to guarantee that they say the same. Now, no matter what, it's going to stay between 0 and 1. Now, for all of you artists out there that like to have even more control over your post-process effect, this way you don't have to make all the changes directly in the post-process. You can actually do it in the material. Let's hit the, we need to right click and search for color correction. That's not the same one that I've got. No, don't use MX color correct. Where did I find this one? Well, hold down, I believe it's the F key. Yep, gives you an unspecified function. And search for color correction. There we go. That's what we want. We will now plug this in. Hold down the V key. We're going to call this one color controls. And over here in the details panel, we're going to open that up. Name the R channel contrast. the G can't channel saturation, which, yes, they essentially do the same thing, but this gives simple control versus complex control. I like to have both access to both just in case. Then after saturation, hue shift. Um, Again, hue shift is very similar to color tint, only it shifts the color. So you have to know exactly where between 0 and 1 you're trying to hit. And I'll show off what I mean by that in a moment. And then the alpha will be brightness. And we will plug brightness into brightness, hue shift into hue shift, saturation into saturation, contrast into contrast. Now, the rest of these are very easy. Again, we'll hit V, and we will call this three-way color lift. And I've left them all black. That reminds me, this one, the color controls, we need them to be 1001. There we go. Otherwise, things will not look how they should. Hold down the V button again, and this one will be three-way color gamma control. This one we have is 1, 1, 1. Plug that in. Sorry, I'm going to keep this uniform. Now hold down the V one more time. Three-way color gain control. And again, 1, 1, 1. And plug that in. Now then, if we plug this in, we won't see any difference yet. Again, to be expected. Now let me show you what I'm talking about here. We come in here into the color controls. Obviously, I can go -1, and it'll make it black and white. If I go -2, things start getting funky. -5, same with if I go with 5. So, I mean, again, you could lock this down between 0 and 1. I wouldn't recommend it. It'll make things very complicated for you. Anyways, -1 takes care of that. Now, if I go into hue shift, you're not going to see anything from 1, 2, 3. You won't even see anything from these. And that's why I have the desaturation elsewhere, along with the color difference. Now, if I put this back to 0, put this to 0, and if I hit 1, you'll see there's no change. Everything is literally between 0 and 1. 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. You get the picture. So I have a tendency to just not use this color control stuff as often because I'm lazy and the other way works just fine for me. These, if you're an artist, you'll know what they are and what they do. If you're not, you don't necessarily have to worry about it, but they are nice to have. Now then, now we're done with that, we need to set up a couple of other things because everything else now is just math, essentially. So before we do any of that, I want to do that. We're going to hit save. And now here's where things are going to get interesting. Now, obviously, this rock is black and white. If we look at it, the color's really not all that different to begin with. So I'm going to do something to make this a little easier for us all here. I'm going to change this to 1. Oh, right, that won't work right now because we don't have it set up in this. Where is the color? It's set in here. Change this to a different color. There we go. So that way, really, okay, we'll change something different. And rock. Make this very red. Okay. And for now, what I will do, turn this back to the gray that I had here. Okay, and save. Now we will clearly see a difference. 0. So the rock is definitely red. Let me multiply this, make it a little easier here. There we go. Clearly, definitely red. Black and white. So we are going to go ahead and address this so that we can see this. All right. So the next thing on this line is a lerp that we need. So first, let's drag this over here. Hold down the L key for a lerp. And we want to connect this into the top. And then we want another post process. Plug that in right there. I believe it's going to throw, yep. Because by the time this has gotten here, it's only throwing out RGB. This is throwing out RGBA. So we have two options. If you're dealing with a lot of alpha stuff, you will want to pull out of this mask, get the alpha, and then break out the float 3. And then make float 4. Plug these in. That way you preserve the alpha of your post process. That's if you're doing it. Otherwise, you can just do a component mask, get RGB, and plug it in. And that's just one node versus 2. Or versus 3. So, your choice how you choose to do it. Me, I'm going to keep it as I have my notes. RGB. That takes care of that. And we're not going to see any real changes yet because we need to do some math. For this math, we need a custom depth and a scene depth node. So if we come here, copy paste, and if I'm recalling correctly, this is the exact one that's going to do what I'm expecting it to happen. Foolishly, I did not make notes. At the time, I hadn't planned on sharing this with people. Component mask, R. We want the R mask of each of them because this is black and white because it's going into an alpha, which is between 0 and 1. And we want to subtract from here. Now we need the ever inclusive and sometimes frustrating to use if node. And for the B, we're going to put 1. This is looking for the value of 1. Obviously, that's what we want. hold down the 1 key and left click to get a scalar. We're going to fill that one with a 1 and put it for the A is greater than B. Hold down 1 again, keep the number at 0, and plug it into the other 2 nodes. Now we will go ahead and plug this in. Apply and save. Now, as you can see right now, so it doesn't do what I had anticipated it doing, which is fine because this is still what we need, just not at the moment for what I was trying to show off. But as you can see, it's only applying the effect to the sky and to this rock. By the end of this, the sky will be the same, the rock won't. Right now it's working as intended. Now, we need to do another lerp. Let's open this up. Hold down the L key. Plug this directly into A. B will again be this, so I'm going to double click on the line to bring this out. Do that. And now to calculate the alpha for what we're doing next. This one I know exactly what it's doing. We are getting rid of the sky, so it is not affected how for a lot of the stuff that we are getting ready to do. So we need a scene depth. Copy and paste. Let me move all of this over. Again, we just need the R channel. Another if node. And then this one, we just need it to be a really high number, because we're trying to take care of the sky. Hold down the 1. And then hold down the 1 again to go into A and to B. This top scalar we want as a 1 once more. Now, if we do that and we hit apply, for some reason that is still showing, which is fine. The sky, this I had to apply because by the time everything was said and done, the sky was still lit up blue, while everything else was black and white. The final product modified the results at this point because I've done so much. So let's go on to the next thing. The next one, we aren't going to see any difference yet as well, but it is necessary. Custom stencil. Actually, we might. Let me hit play. Okay. Yeah, see, I'm black and white as well because I'm a stencil. Which is how we want to keep it, obviously. But this one specifically, this mask we're doing, I had to create because the character, whenever I would walk in front of something, I would get the see-through effect on my character, on my character's weapons, and on my character's hair. So I had to create a specific number that is for the character, one that I will never reach stencil-wise, which is 200. So we need to do that here. So now we need a custom stencil, another F node for this one. Typed in 200. Hold down 1 and click twice so we get our numbers. Top one will be 1, bottom one will stay 0. Placements will be different though. The 1 will be A and B are equal, and the top and bottom will be 0. Oops. We'll plug that into the alpha. Again, we won't really see any difference right now, and that is fine. We want to make sure nothing has changed right now. Now then, I want to get that other mask working? I believe it is this one. One second. Glad I checked. I found my problem. Let's go back up here to this custom depth and scene depth one. There's a very important thing I forgot to do. 1 minus. We need a 1 minus node. Now if we hit apply, that's what I was looking for. See, as you can see now, the stone is red. So I'm going to let that go back to what it was like. Apply and save. As you can see, this clearly is not black and white. Thank you. That was going to bother me. So glad that I went and double checked. That's the first thing that it does. So now when we put our overview material on it, like what we have on here now, everything works as it should. The next thing we want is, if I'm correct here, I hit play. Yeah, we can't see through anything right now. But I want to stay going in order so I don't skip or miss something like I clearly did here because I was in a rush. So we're just going to get it working as it should, and you guys can plug in and unplug in things as you see fit. Gotta be safe here at this point. This video has gotten a little bit longer, but at this point, I don't want to stop in the middle. So let's quickly get this done, and we can continue. Now we need another lerp node. Hold down the L button to get another lerp node. And we will be getting a mask we already made at the beginning here. This scene texture, scene depth, subtract, and saturate ones. And we will plug that in right here, just like that. And in here is where we're going to be doing a lot of stencil work. I'm only going to show you a couple of them, but it's important that you know how it's done, which is why I'm going to show you how to do 2 of them. I myself, I have 8 of them. You can have as many or as few as you want, up to 255, because it has to only be 255 because one of them is slotted for the normal color. My wife asked me that yesterday. So now that we've done that, hold down the L key again. And now we need to search for stencil mask compare. Hold down the 1 key again. We're going to make this 1. So we're going to look for stencil 1. If it's not stencil 1, continue on. If it is, let's give it a color. Now it's up to you what you choose to do. I made mine universal. That way the colors are consistent between the overlay and the mask. If you choose to do it that way, you just come in here to your material parameter collection, create a vector parameter, and name it what you want. I attached a number next to mine so that I know which stencil number it is, along with the colors. If you choose not to do that, you can just hold down V to get a color, or hold down 3 to just get a regular vector if you don't plan on ever changing it. Me, I plan on doing lots of changes. So I'm going to keep mine and the parameter. I'm going to use that one. 1 for normal interaction. Place that in there. And then we just need another lerp node. I'm going to copy this whole thing. Paste it. Now we change this one to a 2. And I'm going to change that to 2. And that's all you do for this mask. Now, if I hit save, hit play, I believe I should see change at this point. I do not. Oh, right, because it's the wrong mask. There's one more mask that we need to set up. We might actually... No, because this is only for the post-process, not the overlay. Let's go ahead and get the next lerp going here. Let me make sure I've got this connected correctly. Sorry. That connects into there. Yes. Okay, now let's hold down the L again for alert. We're going to pull this down because this one goes into B. Oh, that's why. I didn't plug that in. What did I do wrong here? Ah, right. These, let's hold down, let's get the component mask. These are the problem. Component mask, RGB. Plug that in. Copy and paste. RGB. There. Now then if we hit apply, as you can see, we can see our stencil. It's white, which is the, well, it's gray, really. If I go like this, come here to my static mesh, and I hit depth, I change this to 2, it's green. See what I'm going with, where I'm going with this? Allows you for a lot of different unique changes. Now, for the next one here, this one too we've already done. It's this bad boy right down here. Bring this over, plug this in, just like this. A will go into this far lerp over there, not the one where the stencils are at. And now, if we hit apply, we still got our outline. Little hard to see because it's gray on white, but it's there. Then after that, we just have the cool transition stuff that we will do later. But there's something missing on this that I'm sure you all noticed. And that is the fact that we don't have any cool texture or waves or color or anything. We're going to fix that right now. And then we'll end this episode and continue on in the next one. So for our stencil, we have a cool color effect going on. We're going to drag this down here, hold down the M for multiply. We're going to hold down control to grab this string and place it in there. Put the lerp into B. And we are going to get ourselves another function that isn't easily found. Hold down F and click to get the unspecified function. And search for motion underscore 4-way chaos. Now we need a desaturate. We don't want the color. We just want the cool effects. Hold down 1 to get the saturation. Plug that in just like this. Obviously right now it won't work. So now we need to get a texture. What are they? I can't remember what they call it. We'll do texture sample because I can't remember the exact name of it. We'll right click texture object. And we are going to go ahead and I'm going to find this texture here. It's within the starter content. You can use whatever image you want. It's just what I'm choosing to use. And I do have it exposed. I'm going to plug that into the texture. You'll see that the error went away. We're going to make a few changes though. Oh, we're going to add these 3 pins. I'm going to right click, convert to parameter, and call it X-ray texture. Now let's hold down the S key, X-ray tiling. I'm going to default it to 5. Search for texture coordinate. Hold down M for multiply. Place that in there and plug that into the coordinate V2. Now we'll hold down S, X-ray speed. Put it up 0.5. And again, X-ray divisor. This one is at 0.25. There we go. Hit apply and save. We've got a texture there. I know it's a little difficult to see with the color. But if I change the stencil to 2, there you go. Look at that. If I get far enough away, it fades out. We are done with our post-process, ladies and gentlemen. So, thank you guys so much for watching. In the next episode, we will make the overlay material. And then after we make the overlay material, we will then get it working with transitioning back and forth on its own. And then after that, we'll get it into an ability for those who utilize the gameplay ability system. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.